You are speaking, but who is really talking? The words leave your lips, polished, rehearsed, or perhaps stumbling. But beneath them, something far stranger is happening. A voice that is not entirely yours whispers between the lines. A voice shaped by forgotten childhood reprimands, by the unspoken rules of your tribe, by the deep, animal need to be accepted. You say I'm fine when you are not. You laugh when you're afraid. You argue not to discover truth, but to defend an identity you didn't choose. Language was supposed to be a tool for truth, yet it has become a hall of mirrors. The more you speak, the more you vanish into the performance. Consider this. The average person speaks roughly 16 words a day. How many of them are alive? How many carry the weight of your real thoughts, your unfiltered presence? Or are they, like so much else, a carefully curated exhibit, a museum of acceptable sentiments designed to keep you safe, liked, unchallenged? There is a silent war beneath every conversation, a battle between the self you believe you are and the self you perform for others. And the casualty is always honesty. Think of the last time you censored yourself, not out of kindness, but fear. Fear of rejection, of conflict, of being seen too clearly. Why? Because speech is not just communication. It is survival. From the moment you first learned that certain words brought punishment and others reward, your voice was colonized. You were taught, subtly and relentlessly, that some truths are too dangerous to speak aloud. And so you adapted. You mastered the art of implication, of reading the room, of burying your rawest thoughts beneath layers of acceptable noise. But here's the unsettling paradox. The more skilled you become at this game, the less you exist. Your words are fingerprints, unconscious betrayals of everything you've tried to hide. Linguists call it pragmatics. The hidden meanings laced into your tone, your pauses, your choice of metaphor. Psychologists call it projection, the way your unspoken fears and desires leak into every argument, every compliment. As if your speech is not a reflection of your mind, but a symptom of it. What if every sentence is a confession? The way you apologize too quickly reveals an old wound. The way you dominate conversations betrays a hidden insecurity. Even your silence is a language, one that screams in the quiet. This is the great unspoken tension of human connection. We long to be known, yet we construct labyrinths to keep ourselves unknowable. We ache for authenticity, yet we weaponize words to manipulate, to seduce, to dominate. We are all trapped in the same dance, desperate to be heard, but terrified of what it would mean if we truly were. So the question is not what you say, but why you say it. Who are you when no one is listening? Who are you when no one approves? And what would happen if, just once, you spoke, really spoke, without fear? The answer is waiting, but it will cost you. Language was never meant to be honest. From the moment the first human grunt became a word, speech was never purely about truth. It was about power, survival, belonging. The ancient tribesmen who could persuade, rather than dominate, lived longer. The courtier who mastered flattery thrived where the blunt truth-teller perished. Your words are not just sounds. They are the evolutionary remnants of a game you were born into, but never consented to play. Why do you lie when you mean to be honest? Why do you nod when you disagree? Why does your voice shrink in the presence of authority? Because beneath every conversation, there is an invisible script, written long before you were born. Carl Jung called it the person, the mask you wear to navigate the world. It is not you, but it is necessary. Society rewards those who wear it well and punishes those who refuse. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this even more brutally. Every word is a mask. Language does not reveal. It does not reveal. Conceals. The more refined the society, the more elaborate the deception. You do not speak to express yourself. You speak to avoid exile. Think of the last time you said I'm fine when you were breaking inside. That was not a lie. It was a survival mechanism, a primal calculation. The cost of truth is higher than the cost of silence. But here is where the trap tightens. The more you perform, the more you forget who you are beneath the performance. Jean-Paul Sartre called this bad faith, the act of lying to yourself so convincingly that you believe the lie. You are not choosing your words are choosing for you, reinforcing a version of yourself that pleases, placates, or protects. And the most terrifying part, you don't even notice it happening. Cognitive psychologists call this linguistic automation. Just as your heartbeat operates beyond your conscious control, so do vast swaths of your speech. Your brain, in its ruthless efficiency, defaults to pre-programmed responses, the polite deflection, the rehearsed opinion, the expected reaction. You are not speaking, you are being spoken through by habits, traumas, and social conditioning. Arthur Schopenhauer saw language as a battleground where most people are already defeated. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people, he wrote. Your vocabulary, your tone, even your laughter, they are not yours. They are echoes, inherited, borrowed, stolen. And yet, there is a deeper layer still. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor, who studied meaning in the face of unspeakable horror, argued that the most profound human need is not pleasure or power, but authenticity. To speak and be heard, truly heard, is to exist. But modern society is a machine that runs on inauthenticity. Social media demands performance. Work demands compliance. Love demands compromise. Everywhere you turn, you are asked to edit yourself into something palatable, profitable, safe. So you do. And in the process, you vanish. The tragedy is not that you lie to others. It's that you lie so well, you no longer know what's true. But what if this is not the end of the story? What if the very act of seeing the trap is the first step toward breaking free? Every time you bite back the truth, you amputate a part of yourself. The words you suppress don't disappear. They metastasize. They turn inward, festering as resentment, self-doubt, or worse. A quiet, unshakable feeling that you are a stranger in your own life. You wake up one day and realize your voice has become an instrument for others, echoing their expectations, their judgments, their definitions of who you should be. This is the hidden tax of inauthentic speech. The erosion of identity. Neurologically, the phenomenon is chillingly precise. Every time you force a smile while saying, "It's fine," every time you swallow your opinion to keep the peace, your brain rewires itself to make the lie easier next time. Synapses that fire together wire together. The more you perform, the less you remember how to be. Studies on cognitive dissonance reveal a haunting pattern. When your words consistently contradict your thoughts, your mind begins to align with the falsehood. Just to stop the psychological bleeding, you don't just lie, you become the lie. And society, it encourages this self-betrayal. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World was never fiction. It was prophecy. We live in an age where free speech is celebrated in theory, but punished in practice. Not by tyrants, but by something far more insidious. The marketplace of belonging. Say the wrong thing, and you risk exile. Not from a nation, but from your tribe, your friend group, your career, your dignity. So you preemptively silence yourself, carving away the inconvenient, messy, real parts of your mind to fit into the pre-approved narrative. But the cost of this compliance is catastrophic. When you speak inauthentically, you teach people to love a version of you that doesn't exist. And when they do, you resent them for it, because their love is not for you, but for the ghost you've conjured. Relationships built on performance are haunted houses, empty, echoing, filled with the whispers of what could have been. Worse still, this self-censorship doesn't just shape you. The first act of defiance is not speaking, it is listening. Listen to the pauses between your words. The hesitation before you say yes when you mean no. The subtle crack in your voice when you discuss something that matters. These are not imperfections, they are clues. The buried parts of yourself are trying to surface, and they leave traces like footprints in snow. Rebellion does not begin with grand declarations. It starts in the quiet moments when you catch yourself performing, and choose, just this once, not two. The counterintuitive truth. Authenticity is a skill, we assume, honesty is natural, and deception learned. But the opposite is true. Children lie before they walk. Societies train them to lie better. To reclaim your voice, you must unlearn a lifetime of conditioning. This is not about being yourself. It's about recovering yourself. It's about recovering yourself, word by stolen word. Step 1. The inventory of silence. Keep a ledger for 1 week. Every time you stifle a thought, mark it. Not to judge yourself, but to see the patterns. Do you bite your tongue around authority, with lovers, in groups? The places you silence yourself most are where your power is buried. Step 2. The small betrayals of truth begin with low-stakes defiance. When the barista asks, "How's your day?" answer honestly, not with trauma dumping, but with something real, quiet. "Thank you. I needed that." Notice how the world doesn't end. Notice how some people lean in. Step 3. The weaponization of awkwardness. Authenticity is uncomfortable. It disrupts scripts. When you refuse to laugh at the offensive joke, when you say, "I disagree," without softening it, the silence that follows is not failure. It is the sound of the mask cracking. Sit in it, let it ache. The radicals who showed the way history's most transformative figures were not just speakers of truth. They were architects of new language. Socrates chose poison over silence, proving some truths are worth dying for. Virginia Woolf wrote in circles and stream of consciousness, rejecting linear masculine speech to capture the chaos of real thought. James Baldwin weaponized vulnerability, turning personal pain into universal indictment. They understood, to change your words is to change your world. The mind shift, from performance to presence. Most believe speaking freely requires confidence. The opposite is true. Freedom creates confidence. When you stop editing yourself, you discover a shocking truth. People respect you more, not less, not because they like what you say, but because they recognize the rarest thing in existence, a person who is real. Try this experiment. For one conversation, focus only on what is true, not what is clever, impressive, or likable. Speak slowly. Let the pauses live. You'll find 2 things happen. Some people retreat. They wanted the character you played, not you. Others lean closer. These are your people. Keep them. The ultimate rebellion, the most subversive act, is to speak as if you are already free. Not with rage, but with calm certainty. When you do, power structures falter. Why do you think oppressive regimes arrest poets first? Relationships deepen, lies create distance, truth builds bridges, your mind clears. Cognitive dissonance is exhausting, but be warned, this path is irreversible. The moment you taste truth, performance becomes poison. You'll start to hear the lies in every advertisement, every political speech, every "how are you?" tossed like a hollow coin, and you'll face a choice: retreat into the comfort of the old lies or step forward into a life where every word is yours. Silence is the birthplace of every word that ever mattered. You've spent a lifetime searching for the right things to say, but the real question is, what is left when you stop speaking? When the performance ends? When the masks drop? When the last echo of borrowed language fades? What remains is not what you are, but that you are. A presence, a being, alive. This is the final paradox. Your words were never the problem. Your belief in them was. The illusion of language. Language is a map, not the territory. It points to things: love, pain, truth. But it's not the thing itself. The moment you confuse the word water with the experience of thirst being quenched, you've lost the plot. We worship words as if they contain truth, when all they can ever do is hint at it. The great spiritual traditions knew this. Zen masters wield silence like a scalpel, cutting through illusion. The mystic Simone Weil wrote that absolute attention is prayer. Wittgenstein, after revolutionizing philosophy with language analysis, concluded, "Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent." They all arrived at the same realization. Truth is not spoken. It is witnessed. The return to the unsayable. Try this now. Stop reading. Close your eyes. Notice the space between thoughts. That silence, that is you. Not the labels, not the stories, not the clever phrases, the awareness beneath all of it. When you speak from there, everything changes. Your words carry weight because they're no longer cluttered with the need to impress. Your voice resonates because it's finally aligned with the unshakable fact of your existence. Your communication becomes art because you're no longer describing life, you're participating in it. The final temptation, and how to resist it. Just as you touch this freedom, the old world will try to reclaim you. It will whisper. People won't understand you if you speak like this. You'll lose your edge in a society that rewards performance. What if the real you isn't enough? Here's the secret. These fears are correct and irrelevant. Yes, you'll confuse some people. Yes, you'll forfeit certain advantages. But what you gain cannot be taken. The unassailable knowledge that when you speak, it is you speaking. Not your trauma, not your conditioning, not your hunger for approval. Just you, naked. Free, the last word, which is not a word at all. In the end, this was never about speech. It was about sanity. About no longer being split between what you say and what you know. About the electric joy of hearing yourself say something you didn't plan and realizing that came from the real me. So let this be your new measure. Not did this sound good, but was this alive? Not did they like it, but did it feel true? Not what should I say next, but what wants to be said through me. The day you stop speaking to prove you exist is the day you begin to live. Now, go. But this time, don't speak until the words come from that quiet place beneath all the noise, where the real things wait.